Electronic harassment. When you are a targeted individual. You can either be gang-stalked, electronically harassed, or both. The people who are targeted know it's a technology and tactics used on them. It's not a mental problem, it's easy to tell the difference. The person harassing you through the voices will be using different words you don't use. If your brain has a auditory hallucination, I'm pretty sure it will be not using words it knows not, instead of the person getting confused and having to Google the meaning of the words they are hearing. Some of the words and sentences. I remember them saying or using words like admire, cure, malnourished, rewiring his brain, we're love testing you, can you see the improvement he's made, yay mad gear changing, his army, stray ya, but nobody will miss you if you kill yourself, private marshal, go hang yourself. This is what I heard through microwave auditory effect-like technology, which is a very old technology discovered from radar. The voices is known as voice to skull, V2K, microwave auditory effect, Frey effect, and microwave hearing effect. Edward Snowden already explained in one of the videos in my YouTube that we have the technology to read people's thoughts remotely. I won't get into details. Some other things they were doing to me was when the Wi-Fi is on and I'm streaming media of over Wi-Fi, example YouTube, what they will do is inject into the packet before it reaches my phone that's streaming YouTube while I'm watching YouTube. The audio is half a second faster than my phone sound input to my brain's auditory interface, and I will hear a echo-like effect because two same audio is being played with half a second delay in one of them. One is sound traveling through the air as sound wave input through the ears, and the other through penetration microwave auditory, for example. That right there proves I'm not schizophrenic. They are playing mind games and making me display behavior of a paranoid schizophrenic. So the first time I heard the voices I freaked out and ended up in the mental hospital, and at that time I didn't know what was going on, so I told my doctor I'm hearing voices. I didn't know anything about gang stalking and electronic harassment. It was much later when I discovered what gang stalking and electronic harassment was. I started researching into it and everything written about it made sense. Since the first day I knew it wasn't auditory hallucination. As time progressed I learned more about them and their tactics. I'm better off writing this to you because I'm not very good at speaking and having a conversation. We need to work together and not get defensive. Another time, because I don't speak my language very much, the perpetrator did not expect me to suddenly change my thoughts, the natural voice in my head, for example when you're reading a book without moving your lips in your head to another language, and also my speech coming out of my vocal cord to a different language. Doing this made them temporarily stop voices input in my head because they couldn't translate my thought wave. I read somewhere every thought has a frequency, and if we already have the technology to read thought waves, then that would mean when they temporarily stopped the voices input in me, they had to make adjustments to their equipment to the voices they were inputting into my head. Because after 2 weeks the next voice I could hear was in my language. That also right there proves I'm not schizophrenic. The perpetrators have to be close to you because the next test I did was blowing the isolator fuse in the power pole and 3 houses lost electricity and the voices were gone, so I know the device making me hear the voices was plugged into the one of these houses, which was a suspect anyways. Another thing I realized over time was they would turn the voices off when police are called. Also when inpatient in the mental hospital they have the voices switched off, making it look like the antipsychotics are working on you, and they turn it back on few days later after you get released. I do not hear any voices. It's been over 4 years. And I do not have a criminal record. Gangstalking, covert harassment. Basically what I've learned about gangstalking, also known as organized stalking, community stalking, and covert harassment, is a group of people will gang up on you and covertly harass. They will come within your visual and hearing range and play mind games with you. They might have a conversation with each other but about you out loud so you can hear them clearly. They will use keywords that you know applies to you. For example, you just had a shower and are putting on clothes in your room and the curtains are closed. No one can see or know you're inside the room and you can't see outside but hear. What they will do is go outside and have a conversation amongst themselves about you and maybe drop in a key sentence, also known as trigger, for example. Yeah, he just had a shower and is changing in his room. That quickly gets your attention and you for the first time think to yourself, were they talking about you? Now use the type of tactic to a person several times and their brain changes and adapts to the keywords triggering you. If it's not electronic harassment, the voice is making your life hell, then other triggering tactics gangstalkers used on you that I've noticed throughout the time I was targeted was smell, color, symbols, vehicles, especially number plate, sound, and reflection. There was this one time another targeted individual like me who I met at PA Hospital Mental Health. He was put back in PA Hospital for assessment and was hearing voices. He told me to be careful, they know about me, and while I was home the perpetrators drove past my house and sprayed his deodorant, which is a pretty rare deodorant smell. He's the only one I know who still uses it. They trigger you with number plates quite often. For example, you've seen red car Rego 123K2V around too many times, even 30 kilometers away from your usual driving location. Because this has been done to you many times before, you know what to look for because your brain adapts to it. You look at the number plate of this red vehicle 30 kilometers away from the usual driving area to confirm if it's the same vehicle, and the number plate, instead of being 123K2V, it might be 123V2K instead. Say for example you said a word hardly used once in your house where no one was there. The word might be reciprocating motion. You go out for a drive and a car with a logo reciprocating motion drives past you. Now apply smell, color, symbols, vehicles, especially number plate, sound and reflection, and do it to a person covertly so no one else picks up on the patterns, and there you have a person displaying schizophrenic-like behavior while trying to explain it to someone who is on their side or somewhat believes a targeted individual will know if they have met another targeted individual because they will have stories to share. I've looked into schizophrenic and their description of voices they hear is far much different. I do not get gangstalked anymore, it's been over 4 years. Another thing they'll do is spread false rumors. My neighbor told me 2 plainclothes detectives were door knocking. This has happened several times on different occasions at different houses.